Well, my name's Elizabeth. So I have always wanted to be a marine biologist. I can't remember when I decided I wanted to be a marine biologist. I've asked my parents, they can't remember. It's just kind of been one of those things that I've always wanted to be. The first memory I have of wanting or saying that I wanted to be a marine biologist was when I was about 8 and I was changing schools, and the teacher signed my shirt and drew a dolphin and said, "Good luck, dolphin training." To which I replied, "It's not just dolphin training." So apparently at age 8 I was telling people that marine biology was the career I wanted to go in, and I was also confident enough in the job description to tell my teacher. In fact, actually, dolphin training, people thinking of marine biology as dolphin training, is a really common thing. When I was going to take my A-levels, I think the highs in Scotland, and I had to take a career session, career advisor. And I told her I wanted to be a marine biologist, and she went, "Oh, no, you'll get bored. No, it's not just dolphin training." So I did know that, I really did. But she decided that, she couldn't help me get that career, and she picked a new, better career for me, which was, of course, the next one down on the alphabetical list of careers she had. So I got put down on my school records as wanting to become a meteorologist to study the weather. And that required maths, and led to a rather awkward conversation with my maths teacher, who pulled me aside and went, "Please don't take maths, please." Because I was so awful, she did not want the pressure of trying to get me to pass. So unfortunately I did not become a meteorologist, but I took an undergrad in marine biology, and I absolutely loved it. I got to go rock pooling, I got to go out on boats, I got to call it work, and whenever dolphins were involved, there were no hoops. I loved it. But little did I know that the 8-year-old stubborn self, did I know that at the 3rd year of my undergrad, something else would click, and I would consider a career path I never thought of before. In your last year of your undergrad, you get to do your first research project, the first time you are let loose with science, and you get to pick what you do. I wanted to do my research on the small island I grew up on called the Isle of Sheppey, and this is basically an island made of clay and sand and is falling into the sea. And I liked to study everything that grew on hard surfaces. I loved rock pooling. I like anemones and barnacles and seaweeds and all the things you would find on a rocky shore. So the only thing I could study that was on my island with a hard surface was these shipwrecks, which are actually really cool. They're sunk in the World Wars, some in a line from my island out into the middle of the Thames, and some from Essex back into the middle of the Thames to stop submarines sneaking up during the World Wars into London, which is a cool fact. And I started to study these, but it hinted at a question. Did the fact that I was studying these things on metal ships differ to if I was going to study these things that lived on rocks? And the short answer is yes, it does matter. But it's a really complex issue, and one that actually costs people millions of pounds every year, because it's not just shipwrecks things grow on that live in rock pools, it's everything we put in the sea. But this question, even at that stage, I realised that there was a gap. That marine biologists love to say what grew on things, but didn't really know why you might find something different on a metal ship compared to the rocky shore. So I decided to look at it from an engineering point of view. And they just loved the material side. They knew all about these different materials, but absolutely nothing, or completely ignored the fact that marine stuff would then grow in it. And that really irritated me. And so, unlike the marine biology one, I can remember the exact moment I wanted to become both a marine biologist and an engineer, because I really needed to help answer this question. And sometimes a bit of hard work and a bit of fate leads to opportunities. I was looking for the opportunity to jump into engineering despite being a marine biologist, but not get about marine biology. And at the same university that I was at, an opportunity came up in a Masters of Materials Engineering, and to study what grew on devices you put in the sea to gain energy from the sea. And so I managed to convince them I was the right person for the job, though I don't suppose there's too many people wanting to swap. And I undertook this Masters. It was the same university, the same place. The only difference was the department and the discipline. And I might as well have moved to the moon. I went from going on a career where I was outside, taking loads of samples of things from the beach, and coming back and discussing with people of why was that an enemy on this beach and not that one, to a career where I needed to use maths. It was black and white answers, and I kept getting told if I get this wrong, a building could fall down, because apparently that's what engineers do, we stop buildings falling down. It terrified me, but in all of these different problems I was facing and all of these new challenges I was learning, there was one thing that really stood out. The thing that stood out most was the gap between the amount of women and men that there were. I went from a discipline where there was 49 to 51% women to men in my undergrad course, and now I was on a new campus on the other side of town that had a ratio of 8 men to 1 women, but it felt like a lot more because I was in an office of 75 men and I was the only woman. So it was a big shock. And when you are in that kind of environment, when there's that much imbalance, some weird stuff does tend to happen. And I want to tell you about my first, well, not my first, but my favourite, I suppose, encounter of this. So part of the benefit of not going to do dolphin training and going on into research is that you have to present your research. And I was getting a lot more opportunities to speak in public. But this particular one was the first time I'd spoken properly at a conference, and it was mandatory to wear a suit. Now, I wasn't fussed by the talking, but I was terrified of wearing a suit. I mean, I'd been used to flip-flops and a hoodie, and that stereotype of flip-flops is totally true for me, biologists. I just did like, it was like I was admitting I was this engineer. I had to believe that I was an engineer. I had to wear a suit, and I was really nervous. And the conference was at my university, so I turned up to my office in the morning, and I already changed into my trousers and my shirt, and I was faffing, and I had to wait to the last minute to put on my blazer, which I will do now. 5 minutes worth of wait. Exactly what I was looking for, thank you very much. So I put on this exact blazer, and immediately I made eye contact with a guy from across the room who started to get up, and I was like, oh, okay. And he started to walk across the room going, ooh, 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 you look. Oh my God, I'm mortified. Oh, not only am I terrified of the fact that I put a suit on, someone has noticed straight away, and they were walking across a silent office filled with 75 men going, ooh, yes, you look, oh, you look. Oh my God, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? I just want to leave. I just want to get out of here. This is like really, really terrifying to me. And this is what he said when he finally got up to me. You look amazing. You look just like a Ivanka Trump. I mean, come on. Like, first of all, isn't it inappropriate to call out someone on what they're wearing in an office? It's weird. But secondly, why? Just why? Like, even if it was a pet thing, a pet talk, trying to make me feel better about wearing a suit, and I had only met this guy through like, hey, how are you? I'm fine, good, thanks. Like, I didn't know him. But to think that Ivanka Trump was still wearing it into my heart, I don't understand how it will ever be bemused. But also, it completely got me over my fear of the suit thing. Because you can't go up, can't you, really, to be honest? But the sad fact about that is that no, he didn't go up to any guys in that office that day with a suit on and go, you look like just like Trump. At least I hope he didn't anyway. And it's just one of those things that just hits in the back of your mind. But so I carried on engineering despite the Ivanka Trump lookalike career that I could have had. And I do love it. I love the fact that I've learned a different discipline. I'm learning all these new skills. I'm still trying to answer that question of why does different materials with different rooms growing on it. But for the most part, I do feel judged by my merits as a scientist and not by my gender. But there's a slight hesitation whenever I say that sentence. There's a bit of an asterisk that always kind of hovers over that sentence. And that asterisk is the odd comments like that. It's the surprise when I do something very simple but stereotypically masculine. Oh, I didn't know you could use a saw. Managed to wrap myself, thanks. Or when a guy walks up to you and says, we know you're an independent woman, but sometimes you just need a strong man like us. But swapping disciplines and actually having these weird interactions and having that bit of a divide has taught me something that maybe would have taken me a bit longer to find out, and something that I actually value is that I've felt the power and value of my own voice. Going into a meeting and being the only marine biologist, and engineers turning around and telling you that they don't believe in what you're suggesting, or we want a black and white answer, or we need to do this. you have to be confident in your ability and turn around and say, no, I am a marine biologist as well, and I do know what I'm talking about, and I have to stand up for kind of what you believe in, maybe a bit quicker than if I hadn't jumped into a discipline and kind of had to represent myself. And when I'm in a room full of men, and I'm the only woman, my God, does it make me want to be louder. Like, there is something in me that will make, I feel the weight of representing women at that point. And so it's just one of those things where I wanted to be louder. I wanted to grow my voice a lot more from swapping disciplines. And I think I have. I have a YouTube, I have a website, I do talked at science festivals where I've spoken to thousands of children. I stood on a soapbox on the Royal Mile in the middle of Edinburgh in the pouring rain, shouting about my research. And firstly, I do it because I believe in what I do. I believe that the science I'm doing is important and is valid. Secondly, I do it because I enjoy it. I wouldn't be up here if I didn't enjoy doing that stuff. But thirdly, I do it because I would absolutely hate someone to look outside of science or even inside of science and see a male-dominated field and think you couldn't do it. So I just want to say, if you're going to take anything away from this talk, if the world wants you to be a dolphin trainer with a higher than average aptitude to study the weather, be a marine biologist. You can do it. If you're a marine biologist and you want to be an engineer, even if your A-level teacher would have cried if you were in that class, be an engineer. And if you're a female looking out at a male-dominated discipline, or you're in a male-dominated discipline going like, where is everyone? Like, what's the problem? I just want to say, come join me. Come join the dark side, because I promise you, your voice has value. Thank you.